Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for a brand new hunting video where I'm not only terribly framing this here intro, but I'm also no doubt giving you guys a sense of deja vu because of the shirt. You've seen this shirt before. Now, having this shirt and having packed my bags, as you can see from the photo in the frame right now, can mean only one thing. I'm moving somewhere, but where am I moving to this time? Well, I'm moving back home for Christmas break. And whilst I'm there, I'm going to be offloading a few Skylanders that I no longer need stored here in my Lincoln University accommodation, and I'll also make a few extra clips whilst I'm there. So without further ado, we are going to cut to when I get home, right after we check out what Skylanders I'm going to be taking with me, and right after we acknowledge the fact that I've been holding Deja Vu in the frame for this entire time, and that's purely because this episode is themed around this awesome character known as Deja Vu right here. And if you're getting Deja Vu about Deja Vu being a themed character for Skylanders hunting, you should be doing that because she did get her own themed hunting video a while back, but we're going to give her another one just for the sake of Deja Vu section, because you're getting Deja Vu about Deja Vu over here. So all of these Skylanders that you see before you are the ones I'm going to be taking back home with me, purely because they have fulfilled their purpose of me bringing them here, so therefore I no longer need them here, and they're far better off being stored at home, therefore they are being taken with me. Plus a lot of these I have future plans for to record videos with over for Christmas break, so that's the secondary purpose as to bringing them back home with me, I suppose. So yes, we of course have a bunch of vehicles for Stump Smashers, Light Court Drobot, all of the Trap Masters. Of course I'm bringing my boy Ignite along with me, he goes everywhere I go, and I also have all of the traps from the previous episode, and of course my chase variants, definitely not leaving them here over Christmas, they're far too expensive. In fact, all of these chase variants in combination with one another are probably as costly as the Skylanders, which are staying here, all of the Trap Team cores, a bunch of the Dragons I brought along, as well as all of the other light cores that aren't by the name of Drobot, and a few swappers, as well as Ingenie and Voodoo back there, purely because their purpose hasn't been fulfilled just yet. I brought them along intending to record live locks and know your Skylanders and Skylander reviews with them, but never got around to that, so they're just staying here so I can get to recording those once I return after Christmas break, because I have priorities during that Christmas break to record, including stuff that revolves around the Trap Masters, those vehicles that I'm bringing with me, Drobot, and so naturally they're far more important and integral to my future plans, and therefore I'm bringing them home all the same. I don't know why I spent so long explaining all that, but here we are anyways. So now all that established, you guys in the previous hunting video saw me at, of course, my house setup rather than my Lincoln University accommodation setup, so this video is basically giving you the context based around that. Without further ado, I will see you guys when I get home, where my house is absolutely decked from head to toe in Christmas decorations, and believe me, you're going to love just how bright the Christmas lights are outside. Like seriously, I think our house might be visible from Mars. If you guys ever see a bright light in the middle of the night, then it's just for light illuminating from our house, because it's just damn bright. Like, I think people can probably see it past Mars. We have aliens, who knows where, who can still see our house lit up at night during Christmas time, and they're jealous. They're jealous that nobody has as many lights as we do, because we are just so bright. If there was such a thing as the brightest house in the Loughborough Award, and our house will win it every year without a shadow of doubt, because we are by far the most brightest house on the planet at Christmas time. So let's check it all out. Let's, of course, I head home, mind you. So here I am all set up. I've decided to put the TV onto my desk right here, despite the fact that the stands just barely fit, purely because it really is not worth putting it back up onto the stand for the sake of 4.5 weeks now, is it? So I have a few random Skylanders trimbled over there, and of course my Switch atop the shelf, because I don't really have much room left with the TV now, taking up the spot where the Switch dock used to sit at. But regardless, I have one really full trap holder right now, so you guys were wondering amongst my chase variants why I have this random box over there. Well, clearly this trap holder is not full enough, because we're going to take my traps that I got from the previous episode of Skylanders and apply them to the trap holder, and then not only were the traps inside here, but there was also a random nightlight for some strange reasons, so we'll just put him alongside Massive December. Moving back to the box at hand here, of the traps haul from the previous hunting video, here to stay in the trap holder, mind you. Now, problems with the toucans is that I always struggle to fit them in because they're so bulky in terms of their sculpt. So as you can see, I just kind of had to angle for Earth Totem right now. But regardless, speaking of, speaking of totems, that's the Fire Totem. What I had acquired last episode was the Fire Screamer. Anyway, so you'll notice I now own every single air trap, and now once we apply the water traps, I own every single one of those as well. Then I also now own every tech trap, alongside every magic trap, which can't even be fit in, so we're just going to place the rocket right over there. And on top of that, we also have all of the traps that you've seen laid out before you, because they just can't fit into the trap holder, with it being so full right now. Like, seriously, I have 2 slots still left open, which are for the life traps, which I would have a life snake right now if CX didn't fuck up and send me for air snake by accident. And for life yawn trap to complete the life collection, yeah, let's just say I'm not getting that anytime soon. Like, seriously, look at that eBay price, it's ridiculous. But yes, now with the trap holder all updated and my setup all, well, setup, you know, kind of implies so in the phrase exactly what the setup would have been, the process of it having gone through, mind you. But enough of all that, this here clip is coming to an end now that the setup is all, well, set up. I'm repeating this for the sake of effect and all, because after all, by repeating these very words, I'm putting emphasis on them.
4 to 6 weeks later.
It has now become the time to prepare once again to head back to my university accommodation, so naturally these Skylanders before you are the ones I'm going to be taking back with me. I have all of the superchargers and their vehicles back here because I have an upcoming lock with them that will start on Wednesday, but all of the shameless plugs aside, that's exactly the purpose that I need them for, so naturally it's a perfect place to promote the upcoming content, mind you. But apart from that, I also have all 18 trap masters, because all of the materials I plan to record with them whilst I never got around to completing, so naturally I'm going to need them for upcoming projects, so I'm taking it back with me. And then I have a few cores in the form of Chill, Zook, for 3 igniters for support, and Dark Sparrow. Again, all of them are coming along for upcoming base projects. And then I have just casually a few more vehicles over here. So yes, that's a whole jumbo lot of Skylanders. And let's also not forget about Deja Vu. Of course, she's going back with me also, but you know, when you take one Deja Vu, you can't have one without the other. That's right, legendary Deja Vu is joining me as well, so it's time to load up all of these into my bag over here. Shit, I'm going to need a bigger bag. Ooh, I now have my igniters behind me. Regardless, as you can tell, I'm now back in the university hunting accommodation. I didn't record much whilst I'm at home, so I do apologise about that. But you did get an entire video of the setup in the previous hunting video, I mean, so naturally I suppose that's good enough, right? But enough of whispering into the camera. We are going to, and by we I mean me, showcase this here Skylanders display that I've set up with, of course, the new Skylanders that have joined my cast here at the University of Lincoln accommodation I'm staying at for my studies. Okay, so here we have the Skylanders collection in full. To the right, you can see all of the Skylanders I left here whilst I returned home for the Christmas season. You know, plenty of light core, swappers and dragons to go around, which I still plan on taking full advantage of for future content, as well as, of course, for Ninjini and Voodoo's back there. But right besides them is all of the characters that I brought back from home with me to once again make more content with. The superchargers in particular, I have the supercharger Noir Lock, but all plugs aside, all of their fellow vehicles for the lock are right up here, because unfortunately one shelf is not nearly enough for all of these magnificent characters. And then of course I have Igniter front and centre as he deserves to be, followed by some soups right behind him, and the character of the episode, Deja Vu, taking her rightful podium type position, as well as a secondary hurricane jetpack right there. But right below him is actually a receipt, because that one doesn't have a chip inside of it, so I'm going to hold on to that receipt so I can get my money back in future. But regardless, you saw a slight snippet of the Cubic Heroes back there, which I still have yet to make, so I suppose I should get on to that for the next episode. But for now, you know, let's just go back here, because man, his collection is glorious. And what's so cool about Skylanders is that people are always in the marketing for both selling and buying them. You can see images displaying right now of one very incredible collection that someone has unfortunately decided to sell, but this means that all of those incredible characters as part of this collection are going on to a new home for new people to enjoy. So basically it's a cycle of love. You know, those figurines would have been loved originally, but then they would have been passed on to someone else who can love them the same way as they were before. In other words, of course, all of these characters, the characters that I've bought, so I'm not necessarily going to be giving them up anytime soon, but still, if I was, I'd be happy to know that people who are picking them up after me would be showcasing them the same love that I have over the years. But yeah, enough of the collectionception, and I'm calling it collectionception simply because I'm showcasing two collections at the same time. But enough of all that, let's move on with the video. So here we have my Deja Vus in a giant case, but it's not the giant case itself that we are interested by, it's what's inside it, because as you guys know, I have a lot of Blu-rays, so naturally they are all in here for the sake of this being a far more convenient way of taking them to and from my university accommodation, rather than taking them all in their boxes, of course, because just imagine boxes of this quantity and how impossible they would be to, of course, carry around with me. And hey, being me, that's a bit of a rhyme right now, I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. You can go as far to saying. You can also see a bunch of my clothes on my secondary chair back there, but you'll see, as we flick through it, there's actually, right here, a film called Deja Vu. And you know what else is called Deja Vu? Deja Vu. Kind of an obvious answer to that, which is why the question was rhetorical. But regardless of whether the question was rhetorical or not, one thing I know for a fact is that I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a bonus, because this is a rather short hunting video without actual hunting in it. So what I'm going to do instead to compensate for all that is give you guys some Deja Vu gameplay whilst I review the movie of the same name as the character that you'll see playing the game before you. Again, said gameplay, so without further ado, let's get to that, because we've had enough sections for one video. You know, we've had Deja Vu section already, the last thing we need is gameplay section. We now have some Deja Vu arena gameplay in front of us, which means it's time for us to review the film of the same name as the name of the character before you, which means we're looking at none other than Deja Vu right now, which is quite a bland film, to put it bluntly, because this is one of the most unstylized generic plotlines I've ever seen. It certainly lives up to its title, even in the fact that the only thing unique about it is its sense of Deja Vu, because it has a time traveling plotline where there is this, you know, scientifical machine which they just so happen to accidentally discover to, you know, effectively avoid the need to explain how they created this machine. So in other words, the writers dug themselves a hole and they couldn't be bothered to fill it, so they have the most lazily slapped in excuse for why this machine exists, and the simple fact of the matter is that it was created by sheer and utter accident. But regardless, this machine, at first it seems as though it only allows you to look into the past, to just have some sort of vision of 4.5 days prior to what's happened already. But soon enough it's discovered that you can actually send things back in time using this machine. It starts off with a little blinky laser moving on to notes, and then it moves on to a person who travels back 4.5 days And basically that's where Deja Vu comes in. We conclude this film in the same time frame that it began, because of course we time travelled 4 days, 4.5 days even, into the past in this instance, which is where this film had began. So it certainly has a sense of deja vu, this film, but you know, whilst it lives up to the title, it doesn't take away from how generic and unstylized this film is, because its structure, its execution, is the exact same as any other plotline exploring time manipulation. It has really lazy and slapped-in exposition dumps which lack an originality with the dialogue of the characters, because they explain how this time travel it works even by using paper. Paper is like the easiest way to explain how time works apparently, because they simply take a piece of paper and say, hey, you put a dot on one line of paper, draw a line, and then put a dot on another side of the paper. There's your time travel. But if you fold the paper in half, all of a sudden the two dots are together and the line loops around. It's just such a generic way of explaining it. Just about any single film that utilizes time travel or alternate parallel universes uses paper as their analogy, just because it's so simple and so easy to comprehend. And whilst that definitely does summarize the plot in a nice way and does provide that nice analogy, it doesn't take away from just how generic this entire thing feels, and its genericness is what makes it so awfully paced. But on top of all that, it's an incredibly dull film because the really long-winded and unstylized exposition dumps, which, you know, aren't entertaining in the slightest because there isn't any sort of unique dialogue to be charmed by. But on top of all that, what winds up happening is that you have fast-paced sequences such as chase sequences and action sequences, but they are few and far between and are far less prioritized than for exposition dumps and for story, or should I say lack thereof, because this is such a lame story. So naturally, because those fast-paced sequences are so few and far between, whenever they pop up, they are such a drastic shift in tone and excitement than the rest of the film, which is so heavy with its exposition, that when the exposition does come up, by comparison, it's such a huge drag to the fast-paced sequences. Like, seriously, I have never watched more dull and unstylized of a film than this before. Its structure is generic. Any director could have came in and made this film because it just lacks flair or style. Even its characters are one-dimensional and uninteresting. They barely go through arcs of any sort. They're just your generic action template type hero with no distinguishing character traits. Like, seriously, these characters just kind of meshed together for me because there was nothing memorable or distinctive about a single one of them. And so naturally, I'm not saying the actors are at fault here, I'm saying the script is at fault for having just such awful dialogue in it. This is dialogue that we have seen time and time again, and because these characters are spewing out dialogue that does not feel unique to them and just feels like it's been said before, is what makes these characters the equivalent of a plank of wood. So yes, I am not entertained by these characters. This premise is dull and very poorly explained in a very generic type manner, and that just creates such huge drags on the pacing because it's just such a direct juxtaposition to the fast-paced action-based sequences, which are entertaining and absolutely the highlights of the film. And I must admit, before the exposition dumps came in and they were setting the scene, I was actually quite into the film for the first half an hour, especially with the tragic elements, such as for ferry victims. There was a mixture of veterans, soldiers, kids, caretakers. Naturally, innocents like those did not deserve to become victim to terrorism, and so that just creates such sheer horror and opens the film with such a poignant moment. And so all of that is great. It's such a shame though that the film lost its grip it had on me as soon as the exposition dumps came flying in. I cannot emphasize enough just how lackluster this film was in style and in execution. But hey, that basically is it for my quick little Deja Vu review right here. Deja Vu and review is quite the mouthful, mostly because they are rather similar in sound, wouldn't you say? But regardless, sure it's a good thing that you guys stopped along till after the review, because I have a surprise which I'm sure you all will enjoy. So let's get cut into that right now. So when I said I had a surprise for you guys, I was lying, because in truth I actually have two, the first of which is this magnificent clip before you. You truly don't get more beautiful than the snow swaying outside my university accommodation right here, but unfortunately I can't really extend the vlog past this due to COVID restrictions, so for my own safety I can't really put much huntiness into video. So to compensate for that, my secondary surprise right here is going to be a nice look back at all of the Deja Vu highlights from previously in the Skylanders hunting series. So without further ado, let's get to that.
Darn, he got nothing.
Pause. I have found a Deja Vu to hunt down. But unfortunately, pause. I have found a Deja Vu to hunt down. But without further ado, let's go on ahead and check it out. So it's not as big as it normally is, unfortunately, but for what? Pause. I have found a Deja Vu to hunt down. See how I'm talking about graphics right now, because if we take a look at the Skylanders packaging, why Deja Vu is part of it, I don't know. But if we have a look at the bottom here, you notice the green dot, and I did talk about this in my Pinata unboxing, but that's actually a very important graphic-based symbol, because what it basically means is that whilst the packaging itself is not recyclable, and the packaging itself cannot be recyclable because it's got thin card from the Blastertron right there, and plastic, the see-through plastic, so because both of those are combined, it's non-recyclable. However, the green dot shows that although the packaging itself is not recyclable, the company has done something, or at least put some money into carbon offsetting or helping the environment in some way. So they've either planted trees or, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, you should be sorry. Wait, whoa! Whoa! Gilgrant, where did you come from? I stowed away. Either way, where's all the amazing new stuff you promised us? We just went past it. Darn, you mean I stowed away for too long? Yeah, basically. But man, you appearing from absolutely nowhere gives me a weird sense of deja vu. Did you just call my name? Okay, where do you come from? You know, you called my name, so I thought I'd come along and... Wait a minute. She stowed away just like I did. Alright, that does it, you. Hey, stop it, guys. We're almost at Home Bargains. Can't you just behave until we get there? Fine. Just remember, though, I'm stowed away. She just copied me. You know, I actually recall it being a different way around. Maybe you're just getting that weird sense of deja vu. What is it with you and deja vu buns? Because it's my name. So, yeah, that's why today is not lost after all. And I suppose it would only be right to add Gilgrant and Deja Vu into this shot right here, considering that they too were part of the episode, and they've also subscribed and so they deserve this honour. Okay, this place might be great for a Mimo, but it also has a Skylanders display up, so that's fan-freaking-tastic. Look at that. Before we rush off, let's just hold the frame right down and observe the magnificent Skylanders before you. They have such a varied cast of characters, with some rarer variants amongst the crowd, such as, you know, Legendary Astroglass right there, but on top of that they also have Deja Vu, Free Ranger, Legendary Free Ranger, Big Bubble Pop Fizz for Reef Ripper, another Free Ranger, and then they also have Kickoff Countdown, which ties back to the rarer side of the variants, and there's also, of course, Food Fight back there, and a bunch of SWAT Force characters hiding right behind Kingpin, one of the most common since he was in the starter pack, which means he was mass-produced alongside all of those starter packs, which were also mass-produced. But regardless, our final character to look at right here is Deja Vu. If you're feeling a sense of deja vu, that was all intentional right there.